Hello, my name is Ali and welcome to my channel. Today I'm here to tier rank Queendom 2 performances. Queendom 2 just ended and I thought it would be a fun idea to tier rank all of the performances. Since the show was announced I was excited, and while it was airing I was an avid watcher, so I thought I shared my 2 cents. Disclaimer, these are just my opinions, I'm not an expert in any way, and yes, they are highly biased according to my taste. Please don't take any of this personally or like it's the hard truth, because I'm just doing this for fun. That being said, let's get started. The tiers. First off we have God Jihyo. This tier is for all the performances that are amazing. God level. Pure perfection. Hence God Jihyo. The second tier is iconic. This is for all the performances that are memorable but not quite God tier level. The third tier is mid tier. This is for all the performances that are nice but not amazing enough to be in the 2 top tiers but also aren't that bad to be at the 2 bottom tiers. Just a nice middle ground. The fourth tier is cute but forgettable. This is for all the performances that are nice but they don't hold the test of times and I wouldn't go out of my way to watch them again. The fifth and last tier is trash. This is for all the performances that deserve to be forgotten. There is nothing nice about them and I don't know what the creative team behind them was thinking. The first performance we have is Viviz's intro with a remix of the debut track, Bop Bop. The performance begins with a ceiling shot that focuses on the girls while they do a cool hand choreo. We then switch to each one of the members having a little solo moment, and by the end they all join in at dancing. The style of choreography in this performance is voguing, which fits perfectly with the rearranged song, and the whole thing is giving major gay club vibes. I think this was a really nice introduction for the show and the girls killed it. The performance isn't that iconic but it is memorable, at least to me, so I think a nice mid-tier fits perfect. We then have Hyolin's intro performance. She performed 2 songs, a ballad which name I can't remember and Dali. She delivered amazing live vocals at the beginning and then she pulled out the iconic cap and performed Dali. She showed her amazing vocals and dancing skills in a 1 and 30 seconds performance. At the time this performance made me so excited for everything she had to offer in the show, and that was the whole point of the intro performance. I don't know where exactly to put this performance because it was quite iconic but not that much. I think mid-tier is nice. Next we have Brave Girls. The girls are wearing matching sparkly suits with hats that feel very much Michael Jackson inspired. They are also dancing in front of some lights that give Broadway vibes. I remember being quite surprised by their performance since it was dance-based and I was expecting for them to just sing. The choreography was quite simple but it made me intrigued to see them do more dance-based performance since I never knew they were such great dancers. I unfortunately don't think this performance holds the test of times and I literally had to rewatch it because I had no memory of it, so I think it belongs in cute but forgettable. We then have Kep1er's intro performance. Their performance is so impactful and the girls really showed that their strength is their dancing skills. They performed a rearranged version of the intro track in their debut album and I loved the marching band influence it has. I love how many times they introduced themselves so no one forgets that they're called Kep1er. I think they definitely made a statement with this performance and it's one of their best from the whole show in my opinion. For me this is iconic. Next up we have WJSN. The girls performed a rearranged version of Save Me Save You. They began the performance in a very dramatic way. They were dancing on the floor. The girls used the LED screens so well and even had props. Of course the main moment was when they switched clothing on stage. The dresses had tie-ups that when they undid them it dropped a different style of dress in a lighter blue color. Since the first day WJSN was delivering mind-blowing performances and showed that they weren't coming to just play around. This for sure is iconic. Last but not least, for the introduction round we have Luna. The girls performed their song Satellite, which has this dreamy and dramatic feeling to it. The girls showed their dancing skills and looked very majestic while wearing all white. To be honest, the performance was nice but I was expecting a bit more from Luna since they've shown time and time that they are such a well-rounded group. It's not like this performance was bad, but I think there were others that were so much better. For me this is cute but forgettable. However, they apparently learned this choreography in just 1 day because they were quarantining, and that for sure is impressive, so we got to give credit where credit it's due. Now we're on to the first round where the groups had to perform a song that represented them. First off we have WJSN. The girls performed as you wished and each second felt so magical and just absolutely gorgeous. I love how visually pleasant it was. The performance makes you feel like you're inside of a fairy tale and I like that there's a storyline. They really took absolute advantage of every aspect. The camera work was amazing, the use of the space within the stage was incredible and the lights and LED screens were perfect. The last minute of the performance feels so impactful and I really like how they finished the song on the platform while the dancers were downstairs. By now we all know that the sand watch broke and they had trouble performing due to that, but to be honest I didn't notice it until I watched the full episode. Mistakes can always happen, but it's the way you manage them what matters. For me this performance was flawless and it deserves to be in the iconic tier. We then have Brave Girls. They performed Chi Mat Ba Ram and the Roland remix. The girls truly delivered an award-like performance. The intro was so impactful and I really like how each member had a little section to themselves with different elements. As expected from them, the vocals were on point and I love how loud their voices sound, plus you can really tell that they're singing live even if it's a little bit edited. The stage always felt so dynamic and full. The outfits are perfect for a performance like this and their stage presence just makes everything a lot more fun. I loved the arrangement of the songs and I freaking love that they performed the remix of Roland since that's the superior version in my opinion. My only complaint would be that when they were singing the songs was a bit anticlimactic compared to the intro and intermission, but that's just my personal opinion. The performance is definitely one to remember but not quite iconic, so I would say it's a nice mid-tier. Next up we have Luna. They performed PTT with a historical, almost warrior-like concept. I love how dynamic and visually entertaining their performance was and I don't think there was a single dull moment in the whole performance. I love how they used the LED screens, they used the whole stage and their outfits were so good. I really like how some members had solo parts and Olivia's dance break where she takes the pins out of her hair had me shook. At the time of the actual recording they had COVID, so it's really nice that they still gave them the chance to perform because I'm sure they put a lot of hard work and were disappointed to find out they couldn't perform. It was unfortunate that they couldn't gain much points because they were sick, but it is what it is. For me this performance is mid-tier since it isn't bad but also not quite iconic level. Next we have Hyorin, who performed Sisters Touch My Body. Hyorin absolutely killed it. Of course I knew what she was capable of, but this left me and probably everyone speechless. This was such a high-budget performance that didn't disappoint one bit. I love that she performed a sister song and how she delivered it was amazing. She's known for her vocals and it was amazing to hear her sing live. The struggle in her voice while hitting those high notes was absolutely incredible. She also delivered amazing dancing and I love the arrangement for the dance break. She was also looking absolutely gorgeous while performing and I loved her outfit so much. She proved that she can conceptualize an idea so well and she literally transported us to a tropical paradise. Not only this performance is iconic but it deserves to be in the God Ji-hyo tier. We then have Vivi's who performed two G-Friend songs, Time for the Moonlight and Rough. Unfortunately their performance was extremely disappointing for me. I liked the vocals and how they created a storyline for the performance, but the black and white lighting and clothing in the stage looked so boring. The girls looked gorgeous and the vocals and dancing were amazing, but I wish they had done something more to make it more visually pleasing. I did like the orchestra at the back, but it didn't sound live, so it would have been amazing if it was louder so we can appreciate the amazing sound. I think this was a gift for G-Friend fans since they performed as Vivi's but sang G-Friend songs and I saw a lot of buddies saying it was so emotional for them. But for me, someone who didn't stan them or liked most of their music, this was so boring. The whole point of the performance wasn't giving a gift to the fans but showcasing a song that represented them as a group. I get that Vivi's had just barely debuted and their only title was Bop Bop, who they had already performed, but they could have done something more with the G-Friend song. This performance is memorable for me but not for the right reasons. To me this was boring and uninteresting, and although it might sound harsh, for me it deserves to go in the trash since it's the worst performance of the whole show. Lastly, for the first round we have Kepler who performed their debut track, Wa Da Da. Kepler's stage was good. I liked the energy the girls brought in the performance and I think the arrangement of the song was amazing. I liked the little changes in the choreo that made the performance more unique, plus the camera work was cool and made the performance look better. I personally think that although their performance was good in many aspects, it lacked a lot visually. The outfits were so basic and didn't stand out at all, plus all of them wearing basically the same thing made it look boring. They had backup dancers but they only showed up here and there, and I wished they had more interactions with them so the stage didn't look as empty. The stage was huge and had a bunch of lights and LED screens that could have helped to make the performance a lot more visually intriguing, but they didn't take advantage at all of that, and to me it just looked like a regular music show performance. The performance as a whole isn't that bad, but I think their intro one was better, and that shouldn't be the case. For me this is cute but forgettable. Now we're on to the second round, which was based around the groups switching songs and making them their own. First off we have Hyorin, who switched songs with Luna. She performed So What and absolutely killed it. Not only she made the song her own, but she literally gave us a completely different song. The arrangement is so good and I love the addition of PTT before the bridge. Not only the song was amazing, the whole performance was too. She literally came down from the ceiling without any safety belt and huge stilettos. The whole Catwoman-inspired performance was so good and it matched the song's energy so well. She took amazing advantage of the stage, and it's insane how, although she's a soloist, the stage never feels a bit empty. I usually would have liked for her to have more props, but the dance formations between the dancers and her made it so I didn't even care about that. The star of the show for sure were her vocals and her insane stage presence, plus she made the performance feel like a concert. I literally have the song added to my playlist because it's that good. For me this is definitely iconic. Next we have WJSN, who switched songs with Vivi's and performed Navarella. Their performance began amazingly with Unso and Sora. The use of the coloring effect was amazing and the creepy whispering with the creepy box music sound was perfect with the dance. I unfortunately think the rest of the performance didn't hold as well as the first 30 seconds. They totally made the song their own. The arrangement was amazing and it totally feels like a WJSN song, which is perfect. Yeonjung, as expected, delivered amazing vocals that left everyone speechless. The costumes were amazing and the girls looked gorgeous, but I don't think that they used the stage and LED screens as well as they could have, plus the lack of implements made the stage look a bit boring. It's not like the stage was bad by any means, but in my opinion it needed a little more visually. I would say is a nice mid-tier since it wasn't that bad either. Then we have Brave Girls, who switched songs with Kepler and performed Mask. They absolutely killed it and the girls totally understood the assignment. The whole point of this round was to take another artist's song and make it your own, which Brave Girls did wonderfully. I was so curious how they were going to pull Mask since it's such a drastic change to their discography, but they managed to keep the identity of the song while still make it sound like a Brave Girls song. I love how they kept the retro vibe of the sound but added their own touch of classiness, plus it's so nice that they kept the EDM vibes. They had so much going on at every moment so the performance didn't feel dull at any point. I love how many props they had and it made the whole thing more visually pleasanting. As a whole their performance was so good, they took advantage of the stage and the LED screens, plus their outfits were perfect for a performance like this. I truly don't get how they got so low of a score this round because their performance was amazing. To me this is iconic level for sure. Next up we have Luna, who switched songs with Hyorin and performed Shake It. Luna totally pulled a whole musical for us with this performance. There was so much going on throughout the whole performance. The storyline, the acting, the outfits changes and the amazing choreo. I love how half of the girls were wearing stereotypical male clothing while the other half was wearing more stereotypical feminine clothing, and when they do the couple dance is so cool. The girls took total advantage of the stage, and because there were so many people they could easily fill the whole stage, which was proven at the end. The whole performance was so interactive within the dances and the girls, which made it so much better, and they definitely made the performance feel like a Broadway musical. My only complaints would be that I wish they used better the LED screens because at times the black or white screen felt boring. And, they didn't rearrange the song that much, it was mostly left like the original is. I wish that instead they would have given it their touch so it would feel more like a Luna song instead of just a cover. That is just me nitpicking because as a whole this performance was so good and it deserves to be in the iconic tier. Then we have Vivi's, who switched songs with WJSN and performed Unnatural. Like I said before, I really didn't like Vivi's performance in round 1, but in the second round the girls snatched my wig off. I'm obsessed with the flamenco-inspired performance and the arrangement of the song with the Spanish guitar is so freaking good. Since beginning to end the performance was so visually pleasing and there wasn't a single dull moment, they took advantage of the whole stage and the LED screens. I love how after the dance break the sound changes and we get this more theatrical feeling, plus when the girls took their skirts out I died. My only wish is that they had an actual flamenco dance break or maybe flamenco dance moves in the choreo, but I know it's hard if they don't know the dance. They truly showed a performance worth remembering, and for me this was iconic. Lastly, for the second round we have Kepler, who switched songs with Brave Girls and performed a mashup of Pool Party and Rollin'. Kepler really transported us to a new magical world through their performance. The whole stage was giving Alice in Wonderland mixed with The Little Mermaid, and I loved it. The arrangement of the song was amazing. They merged Pool Party and Rollin' so smoothly and made it feel like a unique cohesive song that totally fits them. The use of the LED screens was perfect and it really made you feel like you were under the sea. The girls had so many props and took total advantage of the stage, so it made the performance so visually engaging. The dance break with the bars had me shook, and the way the girls ended the performance was amazing. This stage had everything and more of what I was expecting from them since round one. It's so sad that Dayon and Eugene could perform like they wanted to, but it's impressive how professional they were, and if their mistakes weren't pointed out I wouldn't have even noticed them. I don't think this performance was that iconic, but it was definitely one to remember, so I think the mid-tier is good. Now we're on to the third round, which was divided into two parts. The first part was a unit round where the groups had to divide into vocal and dance. First, for the vocal round we have WJSN and Vivies. They performed Hold My Hand by IU and they killed it so much. The stage was absolutely perfect. The set with all the flowers was definitely what caught my attention at first. The girls looked gorgeous, their dresses and hair were so beautiful, and I love how they made the performance feel so spring-like. The vocals of course didn't disappoint one bit, and I was so impressed with how good of a vocalist Subin is. I'm not the biggest fan of ballads, so I love that they didn't choose a super slow song that at times could even feel boring. This was an absolutely flawless stage and it definitely deserved the first place. For me this is God Gihyo material. Then we have Luna and Kepler, who performed Don't Go by EXO. The girls did such a wonderful job performing. I honestly wasn't familiar at all with this song, but it's so beautiful, at least this version. What stood out the most for me was the harmonies. The girls took advantage of the fact that they had the most members in the unit and it just sounded so heavenly. I wish that they had taken more advantage of the stage and maybe switched places at one point, since at times the performances felt still, but that's just my opinion. There really isn't anything bad with the performance, but I just happen to like other performances better, and for me this isn't that memorable, so I would have to put it in cute but forgettable. Lastly, for the vocal unit performances we have Hyun and Minyoung from Brave Girls. They did such an amazing performance and I absolutely love how minimalistic and simple everything was visually. They are literally wearing casual clothes and minimal makeup with little to no stage props, which to some people might feel boring, but to me is genius since it allows for all the focus to be on them and their voices. I love how much emotion and rawness they expressed through their voices, and it literally almost made me cry when I was watching it, even though I didn't understood a thing they were saying. When I watched the episode and saw the meaning behind the song, it made it even more emotional and I did end up crying a little bit. I think they did such an amazing job, and although this isn't that iconic for me, it is a nice middle tier. Now onto the dance unit performances. We first off have Hyun and WJSN. They performed Kaboom, which is one of the original songs from the show. The girls began the performance in such a high note. I absolutely loved how it looked like they were taming the backup dancers, and how they used most of the stage was amazing. Unfortunately, when they line up in the main part of the stage is where I started losing interest in the performance because it felt so dull, and I hated how in the bridge the girls stopped dancing to quote-unquote focus on singing, when they weren't actually singing live. One thing that was amazing was their energy. They didn't seem tired or out of place at any moment, and that's nice, but for me this stage is a mid-tier since it wasn't awful, but it could have been so much more. Then, we have Vivies and Kepler, who performed Per. I had high expectations for this performance because the song was amazing, but it unfortunately was the most disappointing one in my opinion, and that's due to the choreography, not the girls. The whole stage felt so boring and uninteresting. The choreography was made for the girls to sing live, but because they weren't, it looked so dull. I hated that they didn't interact with the backup dancers at all, or that they didn't take full advantage of the stage. This team had so much potential since all the girls are known for their amazing dance skills, but I think that unfortunately they didn't live up to it, so I'll have to put it in cute but forgettable. Lastly, for the dance units we have Luna and Brave girls who performed Tell Me Now. Their performance for sure was the best. I loved how they showed a completely different style of dancing than the other two teams because it allowed them to stand out. The interactions between the backup dancers and the girls were fantastic and they looked so much like a team. The whole performance had this elegant but fierce touch and just like the choreographer said, they really looked like cats. I loved the filter that was at the beginning and their outfits were simple but so nice. The choreography was so good. I loved how each member had a center moment to shine and of course the part where Heejin is at the center and the girls line up their heads is amazing. This style of dance is much more difficult and that's why most of the girls didn't want to perform it. The girls didn't even choose it but rather were left with no choice, however they did an amazing job. I already knew what the Luna members were capable of but I was mind blown with Yoonji. She owned this performance so much and I want to see her dance more. This performance rightfully belongs in the God Ji-hyo tier. To be completely honest, I was quite disappointed with most of the performances in the dance round. It had absolutely nothing to do with the girls and everything to do with the choreographers. If the round is supposed to highlight their dancing skills, why were the songs choreographed as if they were meant to be performed while singing live, when in actuality they weren't going to perform like that? I absolutely hate that we get some moments where the girls just walk from one place to another. It's a missed opportunity for them to be actually dancing. If they were actually signing live it would make total sense but they aren't and it just made it look boring, plus I absolutely hate that they are lip-syncing because it distracts so much from the dancing. The performances were quite anticlimactic or maybe I was just expecting a lot more from them. Also, Mnet did them so dirty with that awful camera work, that didn't allow you to appreciate the full performances. Now, on to the second part of the third round. This time the girls had to perform a song chosen by the fans as a gift for them. First off, they have Vivi's who performed a rearranged version of Bop Bop. I wouldn't necessarily say that Vivi's performance was bad but I liked more the aesthetic and idea of the performance than the actual performance. I love the Y2K teen high school movie aesthetic and the girls were giving me major Mean Girls vibes. The set design was nice but at times it felt so empty and like they could have used the LED screens in a better way. They had a lot of dancers backing them up but I still felt like the stage was empty and I think it was due to the simple choreo. The arrangement of the song was nice but I don't think it came off as impactful as they wanted it to be. One thing that of course stood out to me was Yuna's amazing high note, like it literally blew my mind but aside from that there wasn't anything more. This round the stakes were higher and apparently all the budgets for the performances were raised so this performance felt anticlimactic compared to the rest in this round. For me this is cute but forgettable. Next up we have Kepler who performed The Boys by SNSD. Kepler absolutely murdered their performance. Since it started my eyes were glued to the screen and there wasn't a single moment where I wasn't completely intrigued by it. The thing that stood out the most to me was the girls singing, like Danem they got vocals. Everyone was singing like their rent was due and I was completely surprised because I never expected something like this from them, but now I want more. Chaeyoung blew everyone's wig with that high note and even the rappers were killing those vocals. Not only the singing was amazing but the girls killed the dancing too. I love how they changed the choreo for the boys but still kept some of the iconic dance moves the original choreo has and the dance break where Daeon jumps on the back of one dancer is amazing. The stage set was also incredible and it matched perfectly the concept and their outfits. Them choosing to do a cover of such an iconic song is a risky move but I'm so happy they went with it because they killed it. This performance rightfully belongs in God Ji-hyo. Then we have Luna, who performed Butterfly. Butterfly is already such a majestic song but with this arrangement they managed to make it even more magical and powerful. I absolutely love the costumes, the flowy fabric moved so well while they were dancing and it gave the effect of butterfly wings. The dancers having lights wrapped around their arms was amazing and it looked like they were little butterflies while dancing. They used the stage and the LED screens so well and the whole performance just looked so visually pleasing. The bridge part is for sure my favorite. The way they danced and interacted with the backup dancers was incredible and all that with the song was so magical. For me Luna is the group that has shown how versatile they are and with this stage they proved it once again. They are able to morph themselves into any concept, and to me this for sure is one of Luna's best stages in the show. This deserves the God Ji-hyo place. Next we have Hyeon, who performed CC. Hyeon once again made the Queendom 2 stage her own. She took the fan concept literally and even invited a dancer who has been a fan of hers for ages. The main focus of her stage was her freaking amazing singing, and it didn't disappoint one single bit. She always manages to make the stage look like a whole different place, and she truly transports you to a whole new world. The set and props were amazing, and I absolutely loved the neon costumes. As expected, she took everything to her advantage and amazingly. My only problem with the stage is that it isn't as impactful as her previous stages. She set the bar so high for herself that this, although was nice, it didn't live up to the expectations I had of her, so unfortunately I'll have to put it in cute but forgettable. However, she prepared for 3 different stages at the same time, and she still managed to kill every single one of them. Now we have Brave Girls, who performed Red Sun. They truly killed it. Since the beginning the performance felt so emotional, and even though I couldn't necessarily understand what they were saying, the message the performance had was 100% delivered. I like how they told their own story for this performance. They showed where they came from, what they had to go through, and where they are now. The concept for the performance was genius, the idea of everything feeling like a fairy tale and them wearing Cinderella's glass slippers, knowing that there's a possibility that it all might end at some point, but by the end they all got to wear their own glass slippers. The whole performance felt so magical, and I absolutely loved everything from the costumes, to the use of stage and props. The girls looked absolutely gorgeous, and the last minute of the performance was beautiful. This is definitely one of their best performances, and although it's not that iconic, it definitely is memorable, so the mid-tier is perfect. Lastly, for the third round we have WJSN, who performed Pantomime. WJSN delivered a whole musical as the performance, and I'm all here for it. I'm a sucker for jazzy musical-like songs, and when it's paired with a musical-type performance is the best. Since the start the girls caught my attention. Beginning the stage with the coats and hats lead me to think they were going for more of a sexy concept, but then it quickly switches up. I absolutely loved how they used the LED screens. It was visually pleasing to see them dance with them, and whoever came up with it is a genius. When the fabric falls down is so impactful, and we get to the main part of the performance in such a smooth way. I'm obsessed with the couple dance, and when they become dolls being controlled by the backup dancers is so cool. Then we get into the climax that's so impactful. Some of the girls were literally hanging on the ceiling, and it just looked absolutely amazing. The performance didn't disappoint one single bit. I love how visually entertaining it was. The girls had so much props, they took advantage of the stage, and as a whole just killed it. This of course belongs in God Ji-hyo. Now we're into the final round performances. First off we have Luna, who performed Pose. Once again Luna showed a completely different side of themselves for this round, and I love the more hip-hop and badass aesthetic and sound it has. The performance was so good since the beginning, and as it progressed it got better and better. They used the stage amazingly, they had so many backup dances, and there wasn't a single moment that felt empty or boring. On top of that the girls looked so freaking hot, like Eve with the red hair had me dead. Yeojin had no right looking like that, and all their outfits were amazing. They put an award-like performance and proved that they deserve to win this show. This totally belongs in Iconic. Next up we have Hyeon, who performed Car Boom. When does Hyeon not absolutely kill it? From the intro to the set, the costumes, the dances, everything was on point and absolutely amazing. She literally began the stage so impactful on her throne and surrounded by all the dancers, it looked amazing. The song features Lee Youngji, and I loved her verse so much, so the fact that she actually was there was amazing. I love how she didn't just rapped and left, the girl actually had a dance moment and finished the song with Hyolyn. The bridge flew my wig off, like the part where she jumps from the platform is insane, like one wrong move and an awful accident can happen. Her vocals were also insane, and damn what I would give to be there in the audience. She's the queen for me, and it's insane how she's always manages to deliver high quality stages. This obviously deserves to be in God Ji-hyo, and I'm putting it first because it's my favorite performance of the whole show. Now we have WJSN, who performed Aura. Since the beginning I was left speechless, like Sola's intro with the drones had my jaw in the floor, then the shot from the ceiling was amazing and the choreography was insane, plus all that was before the actual song began. The choreography for this performance is amazing. I love how many moments we get with their arms doing beautiful moves, and the bridge when Bona and Yoojung go in the platforms is so impactful. I wish they had used the whole stage a bit more instead of staying mostly in the main part, but that's just me nitpicking. The girls murdered the stage. Not only the song is amazing, but they had my eyes glued to the screen throughout the whole performance, and they really proved they deserved to win. I wouldn't say this is God Jihyo level, but it was definitely iconic. Next up we have Brave Girls, who performed Whistle. Brave Girls are truly the summer queens, and they brought summer to the queendom stage. I love how the whole stage set was like a beach, and the girls were even performing barefoot. The performance was so visually entertaining. They were always going in and out of the stage and interacting with the dancers. I love the part where they are in the sandboxes, but instead of sand there's just glitter. The flowy outfits were so pretty, and although at first the white tulle thing was questionable, I'm glad that they took it out and used it as a prop. The choreography was also amazing, and I want to learn it so bad, plus that butt move has all the potential to go viral on TikTok. I usually don't like when the performance only happens in one part of the stage, but I don't even care in this instance because there's always something happening. This definitely is their best stage from the whole show. For me, their strength is their stage presence. They always make you want to get up and dance, so this performance was exactly that. This performance was just pure perfection, and of course is going in the God Jihyo tier. This is also my favorite song from the finale, and I really hope Brave Entertainment releases an MV and promotes the song on music shows, because this is such a summer bop. Now we have Vivi's, who performed Red Sun, not to be mistaken with Brave Girls' Red Sun. Since first listening to the song it gave me major musical vibes, and I'm so glad they decided to go for that route since it's amazing. The whole performance felt very much Alice in Wonderland inspired, and I like how 3 high school girls entered the tree and then the 3 members came out. I love how visually entertaining the whole stage was. They had so many things going on and a bunch of props, but it never felt overwhelming. I love how many dances they had, and they used the stage and LED screens amazingly. One thing that bothered me was that Yoonbi and Yuna's dresses are clearly made out of satin, but Umji's is a different fabric that doesn't stand out as much, and I don't get why they did her dirty like that. I think this is their best performance in the show. It stood out so much on its own, and it's definitely iconic for me. Lastly, for the whole show, but not least by any means, we have Kepler, who performed the girls. For the final performance the girls killed it in the dance aspect, and that for sure was the thing that stood out the most to me. The darker and more intense type of sound fits them so well, and I hope that they try it more in the future. The dance in the platform was absolutely amazing, and Hikaru, shouting, and Daeon absolutely killed it. Cheon wasn't also feeling that great, but she still killed it, and her freaking high note was insane. One thing that disappointed me a bit was the fact that the performance lacked a bit visually. They only had the chairs as props and the stairs as set design. I wish they could have done a bit more visually, because at times it felt too monochromatic and boring. This wasn't by any means a bad stage, and it felt impactful enough for the finale, but for me it wasn't memorable. Unfortunately, I'll have to put it in cute but forgettable. So the final tier ranking is this. In the God Jihyo tier we have Hyolyn with Waka Boom and Touch My Body, the Hold My Hand and Tell Me Now performance, Kepler covering The Boys, Butterfly by Luna, Pantomime by WJSN, and Whistle by Brave Girls. In the iconic tier we have Kepler and WJSN's intro, As You Wish by WJSN, Hyolyn covering So What, Brave Girls covering Mask, Luna covering Shake It, Vivi's covering Unnatural, Pose by Luna, and Aura by WJSN. In the mid-tier we have Vivi's and Hyolyn's intro. Brave Girls Chi Mat Bar Ram and Roland remix, Luna PTT, WJSN covering Navarella, Kepler covering Pool Party and Roland, Hyolyn and Minyoung's vocal performance, the Car Boom dance performance, and Red Sun by Brave Girls. In the cute but forgettable tier we have Brave Girls and Luna's intros, Kepler's Wa Da Da, Luna and Kepler's vocal performance, the Per dance performance, Bop Bop by Vivi's, CC by Hyolyn, and the Girls by Kepler. Finally, in the trash tier we only have Vivi's first round performance. And like that, Queendom 2 came to an end, but with so many amazing performances in the whole show. WJSN ended in first place, and the girls truly deserve it so much. All their stages were amazing, and me, who wasn't even a stan, is heavily considering diving into their discography and maybe even stan them. Of course someone had to be last place, but I hope no one feels disappointed, because all of them did amazing and proved how talented they are. I saw some people saying the results were rigged, which it's whatever, but they shouldn't be sending hate to anyone because the girls had no say in it. Plus, the real goal of the show isn't winning first place but just getting public recognition. With all that being said, this is the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it was long, but I had so much fun doing it. Bye.